Okay, get this. What if I told you that a $10,000 investment could turn into $500 million? Yeah, 500 million. Sounds absolutely nuts, right? Well, for the very first people who threw in their lot with Warren Buffett, that's not a hypothetical. That's exactly what happened. And to figure out how, we've got to go inside the one room where it all began. So, today we're taking a pretty special tour. We're getting a rare peek inside the command center, the surprisingly simple room where one of the greatest investors in history has been working for decades. And trust me, this is way more than just an office. It's kind of like a living museum to the ideas that built a financial empire. I mean, think about it. For over 50 years, Buffett has been working out of the exact same building in Omaha, Nebraska. It's wild. The room itself is basically a time capsule. Every single thing you see, from the stuff on his walls to what's on his desk, it all tells a piece of his unbelievable story. All right, so our first stop on this little tour, we're going right back to the very, very beginning. And I want you to just forget everything you picture when you think of big finance. You know, the Wall Street skyscrapers, the crazy high-tech trading floors. Nope. This entire empire, it started with just a single typewritten piece of paper. And here it is. This is the actual original balance sheet for his very first investment partnership all the way back in 1956. And get this, he typed it up himself, typos and all. This one humble document, this is the seed that the entire Berkshire Hathaway empire grew from. It's incredible. So who were these first brave investors, right? You'd think it'd be some big financial institutions or something. Not even close. It was the people closest to him, his family, his college roommate's family. That's it. This whole thing kicked off with just a small circle of trust, which, honestly, makes what happened next even more mind-blowing. So, okay, what was the end result? Let's circle back to that crazy number from the beginning. That initial 10 grand. If they just kept it in the partnership and let it roll into what became Berkshire Hathaway, it would be worth around, wait for it, $500 million today. It's an absolutely staggering testament to the power of compounding interest and thinking for the long, long haul. Okay, so the billion-dollar question, or I guess the $500 million question, is how did he do it? Well, the next stop on our tour pretty much gives us the answer. The core ideas that guided all of those decisions, they are literally hanging on his walls for him to see every day. Check this out. This is a framed newspaper article from 1901. It's more than a century old, and it acts as this daily reminder of a really fundamental rule: avoid unnecessary risk. The quote says it all, right? Never get out on a limb, never borrow a lot of money. Basically, don't get over-leveraged, and always, always be ready for things to go south. And this next one, this might just be my favorite thing in his whole office. It's a simple idea he calls the too hard box. And it's all about having the discipline to just say no, to say pass on investments and problems that are just too complicated or outside of what you really, truly understand. See, it's not about trying to be the smartest person in the room. It's about being smart enough to know the limits of your own understanding. But, these principles didn't just appear out of thin air. To really get the investor, you have to understand the man behind the money. So let's take a look at some of the personal influences that really shaped who he is. So nowadays, a lot of people know him for his more center-left political views, right? He was a big supporter of Barack Obama. But that was not always the case, not by a long shot. Back in his younger days, he was a pretty vocal Republican and was super involved in the campaign against Franklin D. Roosevelt. It's a really fascinating personal journey over a lifetime when you think about it. And a lot of that early interest in politics, it came straight from his dad, Howard Buffett, who actually ran for Congress back in 1942. Being around that world of public life clearly had a huge impact on him, and that connection, well, it's physically right there in his office in a really powerful way. The desk? The very desk he works at every single day, it was his father's. He said that he admired that desk since he was just a kid, and now it's the centerpiece of his entire office. It's this constant physical connection to his family, to his roots, and to his own personal history. Okay, now we get to what is, for me, probably the most shocking part of this whole tour, especially in the world we live in today. It's not about what's in his office, it's about what is glaringly missing. He has intentionally created this low-tech bubble for himself, all in the name of focus. All right, first thing. On that historic desk of his, there's no computer. Zero. None. He gets his information the old-fashioned way. He reads. A lot. And of course, if there's no computer, that means there's no email. Just think about that for a second. An entire workday, completely free from the constant dinging and distraction of an overflowing inbox. And don't even think about some wall of fancy flat-screen TVs streaming market data 24/7. Nope, he's got a simple, old-school tube television. The message here is crystal clear. His focus is on deep, quiet thinking, not on reacting to every little flicker on a screen. But hey, it's not all just serious business and intense financial philosophy. The office definitely shows his playful side too. You can see things like a model of a Mars rover that was gifted to him by some Caltech students, and even a fake Sports Illustrated cover that jokes if he ever made a team, it would have to be as the water boy. So, as we wrap up this tour, it kind of leaves you with a big question, doesn't it? His entire office is this masterclass in simplicity and focus. In our world, a world that is just constantly screaming at us to know everything and do everything all at once, what's the real value of having our own too hard box? What could we all gain by deciding which problems, which distractions, we're just better off leaving alone?